Today we're looking at this electric hydraulic universal drum rotator. This model has an integrated weighing system, so we can see here in front of me the weigh scale display. What this allows us to do is we can clamp a drum into our band here, lift it up, and then on the scales here it will show us the weight of a drum and the contents inside. We can then decant from that drum and dose into our process vessel and measure exactly how much material we're decanting. We'll now show you this by emptying some of the material from this blue drum into the vessel. We've got our band open, we're ready to accept the drum. Going to manoeuvre the unit and line it up with the pallet here. We can lift off a pallet, providing the legs go down each side, so we're lifting off a Euro pallet here. Bring the unit forward, band around the drum, push the unit fully forward until the band is all the way around. To secure the drum then, we take our hook here and we pass it between the two drums on a pallet. If the drums are really close together, we offer a lever bar for moving steel drums and adjusting their position on a pallet, or we can release more slack and pass the strap over the top between the gap here. We've got just enough room here to sort of thread it through the middle, and we hook it onto the other side. To tighten the strap, we hold on to the slack end, pull through any slack in the strap, and then we tighten the ratchet. Like so. We then have this rim clamp which secures to the top edge of a drum. Particularly with plastic drums, they're a bit more slippery, so we need this extra security to make sure the drums stay in place. So we tighten that down, so we've got our strap tightened and our rim clamp tightened. You can see we have our tap here ready to decant. So this electric unit, press our lift button to raise the drum up. We'll then manoeuvre it towards our vessel. We've got rear wheel steering, so it's nice and easy to move around. Then raise up a bit higher. Going to bring it forward just so we're touching or very close to the vessel. And then on the back side we have our rotation handle. So I'm going to turn the handle. The drum's in the horizontal. We can read our weight on the display. And as we open our tap, I can monitor how much we're emptying from the drum. We can dose the amount we need for our mix or our recipe. And at any point I can come and I can see the scales, so I can read off exactly how much we need. Because we're decanting a liquid, it can take a few seconds for the scales to stabilise. At the moment we've got 162.4 kilograms of liquid inside the drum, obviously plus the drum weight itself. If we want to decant a bit more, we just simply open our tap for a bit longer. Once we're happy we've decanted all our material, we can bring our drum back into the vertical. Once it's on the floor, to ungrip it, we do the opposite. So we first take off the rim clamp. We undo this wing nut and lift it off. And then we release our ratchet, by opening it fully. That releases the tension. Make it so the strap's nice and slack. And remove the band from the front. We now get another drum. We wanted to show you a close-up of a weigh scale display. We can see here the drum and its contents weigh 146.0 kilograms. As mentioned, the system's accurate to 100 grams. What we'll do now, we'll start decanting nice and slowly, and you'll see how the display changes. It's clear that our dosing rate, it's nice and slow. Obviously having a tap allows us to do that. I'll close the tap off. Sometimes you get a little bit of rounding to the 1 decimal place, but ultimately here we've stopped at 140.4 kilograms of material remaining in the drum. Do a little bit more dosing at a faster rate. And we close our tap. Worth bearing in mind, as we are closing the tap, we're applying a small amount of pressure to the drum. So we just need to, once the tap's closed, let the system settle. And you see here we've got 125.0 kilograms remaining, and that's the drum and the contents. Another function of the display is we can press the tar button. This sets the display to 0 kilograms and allows us to measure out a certain quantity from the drum. As I open the tap, we can now see how much we're emptying. We'll aim for 10 kilos, so when we get close, we'll just begin to close our tap. I'm just going to bring it down to a very low rate. We hit 10. We've now got 10 kilograms of our material into this drum, and we can now move to another vessel if we need to decant a material in another tank elsewhere. We're now looking at the rear control panel. To turn the machine on, we insert our key and turn it clockwise. Once powered up, our battery display illuminates. The battery display shows us the state of charge of the batteries. It's important to keep the batteries topped up and charged when you finish using the machine. The battery should not be left to discharge below 50%. The controls, we have our lift button, which we press to lift, and our lower button. We also have an emergency stop in the centre. We push this down to cut all power to the machine. To reset the machine, we lift it up, and this brings power back to our battery display here. Once we're finished with the machine, we turn the unit off, and if we need to, we can remove the key. The charging port is located on the right-hand side, and we connect the unit to a mains power supply to charge the batteries.